What's going on, people? Jada Black here. I am back with another video. Shout out to everybody that's tuning in. I really do appreciate that. This video is going to be on why I respect Erik KiIImonger more than I do T'Challa. Now, I am a fan of Black Panther. I'm a fan of T'Challa. But looking at this film, and everybody has their own different opinions. I've already stated what my opinion was. If you want to go and see my review of the movie, I will put a link inside the description box and you can go and check it out for yourself. Looking at this movie, and when I watch these particular types of movies, of course, I'm rooting for the good guys, you know what I'm saying? The characters that I grew up watching. But in this particular film, I found myself rooting for Erik KiIImonger, especially towards the end of the film. Now, of course, did I want him to go and do the things that he was planning on doing? No. But when you're looking at leadership, when you're looking at circumstances, when you're looking at how this person was done wrong, and they felt that they had no choice but to take what they feel like was robbed from them, to seek revenge, I have to say that I respect Erik KiIImonger more. When you look at T'Challa, even though physically as Black Panther, he seemed to be ready for the throne, but I think psychologically, what he wanted to be as a king really is unreasonable. And it's unreasonable because he has to expect to make mistakes. He can't expect to be perfect. He can't expect to always make the right moves, always be the good guy in a situation. And when you combine the fact that he was angry about how his father had deceived him, had done what he had done to Erik KiIImonger, his father, you look at it and you say to yourself, this guy at this particular time isn't ready to be king, but you have another guy who is and has done everything he can to get to that particular place. Even though he did not grow up in royalty, even though he's in a different country, he still has done everything physically to prepare himself to be a king. And the other guy is basically learning how to fill those shoes. And also this, Erik KiIImonger stood for something. Even though I disagree with, with the whole, fighting for all black people and bringing down this system of oppression. Now, I mean, I don't know if I'm in 100% agreement of that, but he had, he felt like he had a purpose. He stood for something. He would rather go out on his own than be locked away, than to have to be forced to be in servitude, which is admirable, And when you have that type of mentality of getting there and being great by any means, you don't really see it in society. This movie was about two clash of cultures. You have the Americanized culture and then you have the African culture. And what it seemed to me like the American culture always seemed, even though this person is black, he's of African descent, he still was not welcome because he was not a part of them culturally. And you got the Americanized Erik KiIImonger, then you have the African T'Challa, people who were two different personality types, two different types of people who really, one seemed more like a king than the other. I'm just saying. Even though one was learning how to be one, the other one had to fight his way and claw his way to get to where he was, no pun intended. And I can respect it. I can respect being driven. Now, I don't, condone the amounts of killing and this person, that person to get to a certain goal, but you understand that, certain sacrifices are going to be made in order to pursue something that you want. And I think a lot of us do that. I did a stream about loners, and people being loners, especially us as men. I talked about being a loner and how much I've sacrificed in order to be able to do for myself, build myself up, work for myself. No social life, friends gone. It's just me. No dating, no relationships. Just completely on my own island. I relish that. I still do. But there are times where I do want to be around other people because I am a people person, if you may not know this. I'm a people person, people. So I just think that one of the inaccuracies, though, that I will say in Erik KiIImonger's character, if you want to relate it to real life, like a lot of y'all want to do, you don't really see a lot of men, a lot of black men in the majority who have his type of drive. You don't really see that. You do see it in some, absolutely. But for the most part, you just don't see it across the board. But you do see that Americanized spirit of arrogance, so to speak. But I mean, it comes from the culture, I guess. Black men have always been very confident in themselves. You know what I'm saying? That's just who we are. But I do respect KiIImonger more. I think that he was the star of the film. People gonna disagree. Who cares? But he was. He carried his own weight as a villain. And the thing is, going into this film, people thought he was not going to be able to be a good enough villain. Can you believe that? That's why they gave us 2 villains. But he showed out, didn't he? He proved a lot of doubters wrong, now didn't he? Now, I don't think I've given away any spoilers, so something might slip here and there. If it does, it is what it is. If I'm talking about the subject matter, you should know it's going to be spoilers. Anyway. And I think that he earned the title of king. And let's say we subtract all the, extra wanting to, be, at the top and take out all these different people and use these weapons to do it. You take that out. Look at his leadership qualities and his accomplishments. Wouldn't you want an Erik KiIImonger leading you over T'Challa? A guy who has to learn on the job, or over somebody who's ready to be a leader, even though there's still some ideology differences. A guy who stood for something, who had a mission, and to a certain extent, he accomplished it. That's what you want to be able to look up to. You want to look up to people who are willing to work hard despite their circumstances, despite where they came from. Building themselves up, having a plan, working towards something, looking forward to something. A lot of us as young black men, we really don't have that. We only look up to athletes and entertainers. We don't look up to the real estate moguls. We don't look up to the tech guys. We don't look up to the CEOs of companies. We don't look up to the people who are behind the scenes. We look up to the people who are front and center, but they, at the end of the day, they're still on salary. They're still signing contracts to work for other people. It'd be good to have a thought process of where we can be bosses, not just in saying that we're bosses, but actually be bosses. And I also will say this, though. You got a lot of people taking this movie, this film, this Marvel Comics film, and they're trying to make it seem like we as black people support this film. Should we as black people embrace it? Should we go watch it? You got people saying they don't like KiIImonger, they don't like T'Challa. To me, both of them equally held their own. Both of them do have good traits to be leaders, but I just felt like Erik KiIImonger, to me, because of his road to where he got, gets more respect from me. A young American black kid from the hood, with the circumstance that he came from to get to where he got, and how focused he was. You don't expect me to respect that a little bit more? Instead of a guy who's born in privilege and chooses to be in isolation, which is totally his choice. And I think that protects his people. But you got another guy who feels like he's on a lifetime mission to help and free his people, to take over the throne that he feels like he was robbed from, to be the leader he felt like all the people of Wakanda needed, and all the the melanated people across the world needed. He felt like that was his goal. That's how confident he was. Confident in accomplishing those goals. And I think a lot of us as young black men can look at that and say, I can respect that guy. I can respect where he came from and how hard he worked to get to where he went. Now, the other stuff I don't 100% agree with. I don't really agree with, the methods, but the work ethic remains. The blueprint remains. What this person was able to do in this particular film is going to be legendary. It really is.